Have you drank enough water today? Probably not. Go get you some water before you watch the rest of this video. And let's give a quick shout out to my book. We see voodoo and hoodoo, but don't play with her because a couple steps down is the Bible, okay? I just like to know and research, and you know, I like to gather information of different kinds, so don't do that. Yeah, what's good, y'all? Welcome back. It's your girl back with another video. If it's your first time seeing my lovely face, what's good? Welcome to my channel. I'm basically a lifestyle video creator. I needed a space where I could express all the multi-dimensional spaces of myself. So this channel is going to vlogs, traveling, spiritual content, just like lifestyle. I want to invite y'all on my journey of life. So yeah, in today's video, we're going to talk all about the stages of spiritual awakening, because I feel like personally I have been going through a spiritual awakening for a while, and I never really knew what was happening. So I wanted to make this video for people who are like going through certain fields and just don't really get like what's going on. As far as like spiritual awakening, I think it's really important that we acknowledge that, because like so many of us only operate in like a two-dimensional way, meaning we're only operating in mind and body, right? We're only concerned about the physical and the things we can see, and then our mind as far as like our thoughts and things like that. But there is a third element to all of us, and that's our spirit. And so for me, the best way to kind of describe that spiritual aspect that's within all of us, right? The mind, the body, and the spirit. But for me, it's kind of like a compass. You know, I think the mind is a liar, okay? The mind has been conditioned. The mind is holding all the yucky experiences that we wish we didn't have. But the spirit is pure. For me, the spirit in all of us is the part of us that is giving us the breadcrumbs. It's the part of us that's like, you know, you really should work on this area of your life, or, you know, I really have this urge within me to pursue this or that career. You know, even with me starting my YouTube channel, it's spirit-led, you know, so it's like the spiritual part of us is the part of us that's leaving us breadcrumbs to happiness, right? So I think it's really important that we all kind of like develop more spiritually, so that we can learn how to trust things we can't see and really unlock the mystery and the joy and the beauty and just the playful nature of life. I love living, I love being alive, but this only really kind of happened after I went through my own spiritual awakening. So let's talk about the stages of spiritual awakening. So the first stage of spiritual awakening is called the dark night of the soul, right? This stage feels like really hopeless. You feel kind of lost, and it's where you really start to question and ask, like, why am I waking up every day? Like, what is the point of all of this, right? For me, when I was going through my dark night of the soul, I did think about not being here anymore. I was thinking about, you know, like taking myself out of the game. But then I became more informed on the fact that if you take yourself out, you're gonna have to just start back all over, and I have worked way too hard to get here. I am not trying to go through the stuff I done already been through again. So no, I decided not to take myself out. But the dark night of the soul is the first stage of spiritual awakening, and that's kind of where we become aware and we start to question what we're doing every day. What are we doing with our lives? What are we doing with our minds? And it is called the dark night of the soul because it can feel really dark. It is a very dark place. But if you are feeling like you're in this first stage of spiritual awakening where it's like everything's annoying, nothing makes sense, it's like you're craving meaning in life, I think is the best way to describe it. But if you feel like you're in that first stage, first of all, keep going. I know it feels scary, it feels dark, it feels chaotic, but you are at the first step, the precipice of something just so beautiful and so amazing. So yeah, drop a 1 if you are feeling like you are just like in the first stage, the soul is dark. It's like, Lord, where's the light? And if you see another comment down below with the 1, show that comment some love, you know, like that comment, send that comment some hearts, like, because it's hard to be in the dark night of the soul. But until we start to kind of question what we're doing doing in our life, we can't get the answers that are going to help us figure out what we're doing in our life. So yeah. Now, coming out of the dark night of the soul, we go into like the second stage of spiritual awakening, which is called disillusionment, right? It's like literally tired of being tired. That part of me done died. Like, it's where the complacency with just existing turns into dissatisfaction, right? Because a lot of us are just existing. A lot of us are just waking up, going to work, paying bills, showing up for everyone in our lives but ourselves, all right? And a lot of us are just not actually living. We're just existing. And so the second stage of spiritual awakening and disillusionment is where we kind of start to awaken, and it's where we turn that complacency turns into dissatisfaction, which basically turns into determination. And it's like something's got to shake. I don't know what it is, but there has to be a change, right? And you just kind of become disillusioned with being complacent and just existing, and you want to live. And that kind of creates a fire, and it creates a seeking and a yearning for more. That brings us into the third stage of our spiritual awakening, which is where we do our soul searching. Now, if you are in the second stage and you are on fire and you are like, you know what, I'm tired of being tired, I'm tired of complacency, dissatisfaction, determination, if that's kind of where you are, go ahead and drop a 2 down below. I want to know where you guys are in your journey, and I also want to know like what you need from me. So as you guys are commenting down below, tell me what you need from me. I love talking about this type of stuff. Like you can see, I have a whole library of this stuff. I have books that you can't even see. I am very look, I know a lot about this spiritual journey that we're all on. So I also want to know from you like what I can help you with. So but yeah, if you're in that second stage of disillusionment on your spiritual awakening, go ahead and comment a 2 down below. And now let's talk about soul searching. But hold on, I need to go check on my rice. Nah, I'm gonna be okay. Ooh, y'all pray for my rice. I hope it ain't burned. I'm gonna check on it. Okay. We're good. It's all good. But yeah, in the third stage of spiritual awakening, that's where we were. In the third stage of spiritual awakening, it's all about soul searching. That's why you're here. You're searching for meaning. You're gonna start in the soul searching stage of spiritual awakening. It's all about like researching. It's all about, you know, listening to podcasts, reading new books, watching new content, following certain people, following new accounts, and really seeking out like personal truths that resonate with you. The soul searching stage is, like I said, why you're here. It's probably why you've been interested in reading new books and following new accounts and watching new television or not watching television at all. It's because you are searching for truths that resonate with you. And yeah, that is the third stage of spiritual awakening. So if you are in stage number 3, go ahead and drop a 3 down in the comments for me. Okay. Now, the fourth stage of spiritual awakening that I really love is the actual like soul work. It's the application of it all. And this fourth stage of spiritual awakening involves going into hermit mode, right? Because in the third step of like doing the research and finding things that resonate, the fourth stage of doing the work is trying things, different methods. You know, I have a few crystals like quartz and amethyst, and I think I also have a malachite crystal. And I'm not into doing rituals with them. I just kind of have them because I like them. And the reason why I'm not into the ritual stuff is because I've tried those things and it didn't feel like a match for me. And that's a lot of what we do in the fourth stage of our spiritual awakening. A lot of what we're doing in that fourth stage of awakening is we're applying this information. We're using the mindfulness. We're also, a big thing that I was doing when I was applying the information, I would start to like ask myself what areas of my life I want to improve on. So for me, it used to be I had it would take nothing to get on my nerves. I had like 0 patience. And so I knew that I wanted to improve and strengthen that muscle. And so when I did that and I realized that, first of all, me being patient it's tied in with me surrendering to the journey of life and not being in such a rush to get to a destination, you know. So that is completely, I was completely spirit led to work on that. And kind of like as I worked on that way in which I showed up in my life, a big part of it was starting to visualize the things that I encountered every day that put me into that space that I didn't want to be in and put me impatient and had me in my mind too much. I started to visualize like what the new me is going to do, what the healed version of me is going to do, like how does it look, me applying this information to my everyday life. And then also, as far as applying the information you've learned in the third stage of your awakening, that's going to involve a lot of isolation as well, because it may change how you view some of the relationships in your life. There may be people who you've been friends with who, now that you have different information and you're like, there's a different truth that's resonating with you, you looking at certain people in your life like, whoa, you too close. I'm doing too much for you, and y'all. Wait a minute. It requires some kind of like isolation. You may not want to be bothered with a whole lot of people. Like, I know for me, I'm naturally a hermit because I grew up an only child, but it has also involved me ending friendships that I'm like, you're not what I define as a friend anymore. You know, I used to have a lot of surface level people who I was cool with, and I decided I don't really want a whole lot of people having access to me anymore. My self-worth has skyrocketed, okay? So I don't want everybody to just be able to have access to me. No. But the fourth stage of spiritual awakening is all about the work. It's about, you know, reconstructing ourselves, recreating our identity, solidifying how we're showing up in the world based on the information that we've learned in the third stage of our spiritual awakening. You know, that fourth stage of spiritual awakening is very like difficult, and it can be very ugly. You know, it can cause a lot of friction in your close relationships. Please keep going, because you are the prize and it is so worth it. Also, the fourth stage of spiritual awakening as far as soul work involves forgiving ourselves, forgiving other people. It involves working on our self-esteem and figuring out like, why are we not as confident as we want to be? Why are we afraid every day? Why are we in such a rush? Why are we so dissatisfied with ourselves and with our lives? Why? It's kind of where we really start to examine ourselves. But the soul work is the best part of the process, because it's going to require reflection, and you're gonna break everything down and build it up even better in the fourth stage of your awakening. And after you finish doing that is when we come to that fifth stage of spiritual awakening, which is basically integration, is what it's called. It's kind of where we start to reveal our new self, because we've become so comfortable. It's when people around us start to kind of notice a difference in ourselves, because we've decided, you know what, I let go of low self-esteem. I've forgiven people who maybe aren't even sorry. I don't care about what nobody thinks. This is my life and I'm living how I want to live. And it kind of involves an ego death. And in the integration stage of the spiritual awakening, life goes from feeling like a job to literally feeling like it just feels so good here. It's like you go from living life like, oh, another day, to like, oh, another day, and you become more passionate about living. And it really like heavily involves honestly experiencing your life from a completely different perspective. And I feel like as far as once you awaken to the spiritual aspect of yourself, it's an ever evolving journey. You know, so I think between stages 3 and 5 are stages that you may end up teetering in and out of and back and forth from. But ultimately, understand that there's no destination on this thing called life. It's all a journey. Take your time and enjoy it. You know, I want you to live a life of passion, because I remember when life used to feel like a job and now it feels like a gift. And that is just such an amazing shift. So yeah, let's just go ahead and recap real quick these 5 stages of spiritual awakening. The first stage is that dark night of the soul where it feels hopeless. What is the point of life? And you may be thinking about taking yourself out. Don't do that. Keep going, because in the second stage of spiritual awakening, you're going to become disillusioned. You're going to go from being complacent to being dissatisfied with just existing, to being determined to actually live and awaken and experience life and all the beauty that it has to offer. Now, in the third stage of the spiritual awakening is when you're going to start to do some it's when you're going to start to do some soul seeking. You're going to start to look at new resources and seek out new information so you can solidify your personal truths. What do you really know about life for yourself? What are the things, your core values, your ethic? What do you truthfully and wholeheartedly believe at your core? And then that brings us to the fourth stage of spiritual awakening, which is very messy, very ugly, but this is actually doing the soul work. It's the forgiveness. It's the actually applying the mindfulness. It's visualizing how we're going to apply the new information that's resonating with us from the third step. It's shadow work. It's isolation. It's reshaping and reframing relationships, deciding for yourself what you're going to tolerate from the people in your life. The fourth stage is the soul work stage, and it is very gruesome, very messy, and sometimes it can be a process. But the fifth stage, the integration, is where you really recreated yourself and you're sharing it with the world. It's like an ego death, and you're moving from spirit. Your mind isn't running the show anymore with these lies from your past traumas and your fears and all that foolishness, you know. In the fifth stage, the integration stage of our spiritual awakening, that is where life turns into just a beautiful passion project that we get to add new strokes to the canvas every day. So yeah, I know this video resonated. I think I started to ask y'all to drop the numbers down below, and I stopped. So just drop the number down, but listen, everybody, don't do that. Don't do that. It's a lot going on up here. I be forgetting, baby. You know I be forgetting. That's why I be trying to keep it simple, because I will forget. But comment down below and let me know what stage you're on in your spiritual awakening. And also let me know what else I can do to support you, what other type of content you may want to see. Like I said before, I'm all about lifestyle content. I just wanted to create a channel where I can be myself and allow my life to unfold and my journey to unfold in front of y'all, and also to share with y'all real life wisdom that I'm applying and I'm living by, because I used to not love being alive, and now it's just like every day is so beautiful for me, and I want that for as many people as possible. So yeah, go ahead and like, comment down below, share if you care. Thank you so much for watching, and in case no one tells you today, I love you. See you in the next video. Peace.